Get Into Geek, episode 11. We are talking Bloodlines. This is the Get Into Geek team. My name is Mitch Lewis. Got the full team once again here with me. Go around the room, Matty.
Yo.
Good day. No particular time. This is a podcast, so it could be any particular time of your given day.
Good day to you too, sir, as I tip my imaginary hat to you.
Indeedy. And highest regards to you also.
The Michael's just fallen out. Sorry, chaps.
Bring it back to 2016, Rhys. What's doing?
All right.
And Brendan.
Hey, going.
There we go.
Oh, Carl Barry.
Was that Brendan or Keith?
Yeah. Going on, boys.
There we go.
Here he is.
We are Get Into Gates. We are talking about Stargate each and every week. If you are new to the show, we've got 10 other episodes. You go check them out because they're all great. Like, just good old-fashioned listening. If you got to spare 40 minutes, you know?
Just wholesome listening. Just wholesome.
No ads.
Family. Just
Zero ads.
get the whole family. Just crowd them around
Okay.
the iPod, like at the old days of radio.
Put it in ear and bloody
What's an
earbud.
iPod?
Yeah, you know what? Hook it up to the central speaker, then go to everyone's bedroom because no one converses with each other and they can go and listen on their own time.
Good call.
We talk Stargate each and every week. Rhys, who we just introduced you to, this is what he sounds like again.
All right.
He wasn't prepared for that one. He will be prepared for the rest. Rhys has never seen an episode of Stargate until we started this. The rest of us in the room, long-term hardcore Stargate fans, so we are reliving it while Rhys experiences it for the first time. We just break down an episode a week, and we are up to episode 11, Bloodlines. And I was excited about this because it's the first Teal'c episode. Now, Rhys, you know Teal'c. As limited as you may be for the last 10 weeks, this is the first time we've really delved into the psyche of the character of Teal'c.
Yes, and
we've
as
already-
little as I do know him, I've always wanted to delve deeply into him. So this is the
he
episode
has
to
been,
do it.
since very early on, he's been your favourite character, hasn't he?
Yes, absolutely. Just the no emotion tough guy that just takes no shit.
Much like yourself.
The exact opposite of me.
And up until this point, he's just been Teal'c. He was a warrior who turned from the dark side back to the light and turned against his false gods. And he's just been on the side of the humans, doing everything they want for, as we found out in story time, 6 months. All of a sudden, they've dropped a bomb on us. He's not only got a wife, he's got a kid. What were your thoughts when you found that out?
Yeah, it was very passive aggressive when he was saying he wants to go back to Chulak and without reason. So SG1 thought, but because I think the first bit was his dream when he was getting the
he had his symbiote out
symbiote.
because they were trying to give him and
Symbiote's out for Harambe. Sorry, that was a bad joke.
What?
Just cut it out.
Old
cut that bit out.
No, and then
Doc
there was
Fraser's back. They're trying to, because this is the first time you actually see they're trying to take Teal'c's symbiote and try to give him medicinal.
Bit of research, try and see
That's
if
right,
they can-
yeah.
so
but
he can get rid of his Goa'uld.
Yeah, prior to that,
symbiote.
he was having his little nightmare thing, and then there was a young kid there. That's when I straight away I thought, oh, he's got a son. That's his son. At first I thought,
I was wondering if we'd have given anything away because I remember very early on maybe Children of the Gods or.
Oh, that's right.
We
He's got a
kind of
family,
hinted at a family. We didn't say whether it was his parents or his wife or his kids or anything, but I was just wondering
Mitch
whether
put his
that
foot
would.
in it.
Yeah, I know. And I say to him, going, well, and I think you said to me, you go, well, he's
Well, he
not,
didn't have a mum?
immaculate conception,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was just
Oh, good recovery.
good save.
Just trying to take that foot out of our collective now.
But yeah, when because Teal'c was like, oh, we should go back to Chulak, and they're like, why would we go
Why
back there?
not?
That's crazy. And then he gets all passive aggressive. He's like, fine, and then walks out.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, what the hell was that? Like, that's the first bit of real, I guess, emotion that you see from him.
Yeah.
In regards to anger and whatnot.
Yeah, and I think there might have even been a little bit of a retcon here where they seem to refer to Chulak now as the whole planet.
Yes.
It's like when they went there in Children of the
was
Gods,
the
they're
city.
on the planet, and then SG1 are talking to the clerics that are coming through and saying, oh, we want to go to Chulak. And they go, oh, Allah, Chulak, oh, Chulak, blah.
Yeah.
And they take them to Chulak, which you assume is a town on the planet. But now they kind of, and forever now, they kind of just refer to just Chulak as that world.
Maybe it's like Marklar. in South Park, like Marklar is everything. You never saw that episode?
Didn't see the show.
Oh,
I haven't seen South Park since I was about 13, mate.
well, me neither. I think that's when I watched it. There's a planet called Marklar, and everything on it was Marklar.
Oh.
Everyone was named Marklar. Everything was like an object, a computer, a tree. Everything was
The
Marklar.
only things from South Park I can quote are from the movie, which is "Shut your face, Uncle and I'm the clitoris." That's it.
I was going to say not
my
to
God.
not to make a
everybody
sexual
knows
joke, but you've already mentioned the C word there. But was a line for what's the teacher's name?
Clitoris is a clinical term.
Of course it is. No, I'm fine with that. But
You have to bleep that.
what's the teacher's name? Mr.
Garrison.
Mr. Garrison, and one of the students says, "Mr. Garrison, why are you gay?" And he says, "Well, children, I just don't trust something that bleeds for 5 days and doesn't die."
Oh, shit.
I was way too young to hear that and understand it,
Yeah.
but I knew that was a little bit wrong.
Hey, look, growing up as the youngest of 3 kids and just growing up with a mum and 2 older sisters, whenever I said that phrase at home, the lightning that would come down on me. Jeez.
Don't even know.
But I did used to get in trouble. I babysat my niece when she was about 4. I had some friends over, not realizing we watched the South Park film, and just my niece was just sitting there watching it, and I didn't think anything of it. 3 days later, my sister calls me, and my beautiful little 4-year-old, princess niece in a pink bedroom is humming the tune to "Shut Your Face, Uncle." And my sister's like, "Is there anything you want to tell me about when you babysat the other week?" I was like, "Nope."
Yeah, maybe look after your own.
Hang up.
Brilliant.
But yeah, it's again. I think the 3rd episode running. Teal'c's been lying. Stop keeping shit from us, man. We told you last episode. Start writing stuff down in a book that you're hiding from us.
Yeah.
Maybe top of the list. Not only am I a wanted fugitive, I've also left a family back on my home planet, and they could be used to exploit me somehow.
Teal'c, take after me and just have a spoiler book.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Teal'c is like ogres
They have layers.
because ogres are like onions.
What, they stink?
Oh, the
I
big
like
crack.
that. I like that boulder. That is a nice boulder.
So
It's like, did you
Ryak-
guys write? Sorry, just digressing. Did you guys end up clicking on that link that I sent you today? The Bowfinger.
Oh
link?
yes, yeah.
I didn't.
Well, I said
Hey,
DC.
Lakers girls.
Yeah, DC's have released something and it went down like a lead balloon. Like, hey, Laker girls.
It ain't funny.
It ain't funny.
I didn't understand that whole thing. I've never seen that film.
Oh
so I
man,
don't-
you are missing out, man. It is
Yeah.
one of the. It is such a great.
Right.
What's it called?
Bowfinger
And what is an Eddie Murphy film?
Yeah.
and Steve Martin.
Yeah.
Steve Martin's like
No.
he's a wannabe director, but he's a f***ing nobody. But he pretends to be a somebody, and he's trying to get this film made. And so he secretly films the biggest star in the world, who's Eddie Murphy,
Yeah.
and it makes a film around
Is it pre or post Pluto Nash?
pre.
Oh,
It was like I think almost the last great thing
then
he
I
did.
should've- Yeah, I was going to say
And
that. I
that
should
before
have
all
seen
that.
it.
Yeah,
It
Heather
was
Graham's in it as well.
Heather Graham's.
Yeah.
Basically, anything post
you-
like Dr. Doolittle, I was like, I'm out.
No, it was before. It
But-
was almost like the first Clumps movie, whatever that was. Before that, maybe.
Oh, the Nutty Professor.
yeah.
What was it? Yeah, Nutty
It was
Professor.
around almost
not-
the
Nutty
end of
Professor-
the golden era.
Yeah.
For Eddie Murphy.
I think it was about 98, 99.
I remember we watched it in high school. I
Yeah.
remember just.
I remember
you
we
and
was going
loved
together.
it.
Capalaba, I think we went and
Did
saw
we
it
go to the
together.
movies?
Yeah,
That was so funny.
it's so good.
Do you
It's
like
so good.
Smashing Pumpkins? Are you kidding? I love doing that.
Isn't that The Simpsons?
No, that was Bowfinger.
Pretty sure it was The Simpsons.
God, f***ing watch the movie.
The Sound of Brothers or The Sound of Bloodlines.
Oh.
Now I know last week we were talking a fair bit about.
Googling that.
I know last week we were talking about Hammond, and how do you describe him?
He's a catfishing son of a bitch.
Okay, sure. So he was catfishing. But I liked in this one when O'Neill finds out that Teal'c's got a son and a wife, but he doesn't go and reveal that to everybody. He just supports Teal'c in his wish to go back to Chulak. And then Hammond, I probably should get the audio, and I'll try to pull it up now. But he's like, Jack, would you like to come into my office? Not O'Neill, not Colonel. It's like, Jack, come in here. Come and step right in here. And he almost sort of sits him down like he's in the principal's office.
Yeah.
He's like, and he's like, shuts the door. He's all calm. And it's like, what the f***? are you thinking? You don't undermine me in front of my stuff, you son of a bitch. And then he sort of sits there and has a calm and probably calls him a teddy bear and stuff. But yeah, like I love Hammond. Having been a long-term fan, I love Hammond. But yeah, and I know you said a few episodes ago that it took you probably 3 seasons to come around on him. And I'm like, you are crazy.
Yeah.
He's a lovable giant. Like he's an authoritative figure, but he is a teddy bear.
He's a
but
pushover. When has he ever put his foot down?
Well, yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
But the last 3 weeks,
buddy.
he's just had a couple of instances where I'm like, dude,
Yeah,
be the Hammond I love.
I think
be
that's
like
why
that.
I had such a hard time getting on board the Hammond train, because it was like, for so many episodes like this, he makes them plead their case and do all this stuff, and he's like, yeah, it's fine, go for it. And it's like, well, you're just wasting time, man. You talk about how expensive it is to turn the Stargate on.
Yeah,
that's
smart people.
That's what I see as a good leader. Is you're not there just to make decisions. Like you're there to hear the views and hear everyone's different part of the story, and
But
then
it's like
you
he's
make
already,
decisions based
he's
on
already made up his decision. He's like, yeah,
it.
I've
The
already
president
agreed with
made up
you.
the decision.
The president agrees with you. I don't.
But he's like, I'm going to let you, but you need to tell me why I'm going to let you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like last week in last episode, he's just let Catherine go. Like he's absolutely fuming. He's like, "Yeah, all right, you can go." I'm like, "Don't you have to ask someone, or because if she dies, you're in trouble, right?"
Yeah, I feel like there's like
it's duty of care.
an insurance form or something
Yeah.
you've got to fill out
Yeah.
just for
Yeah,
Well, talk
That's the
about
government.
waiver.
They've lost whole countries before.
you talk about letting someone do something, and through with gate travel, Teal'c gets told, I think twice, you can't do this, and then O'Neill gets told, you can't let him do this, and then all of a sudden the alarms are going off. Teal'c standing there in his Jaffa armor,
Yeah.
Fully
with the
armored
gate
up.
on. Go, I am going.
And I
back.
feel like you need a hand to get into that. He can't clasp that at the back himself.
Look,
like
not
he
to-
needs someone to help him get into that
yeah,
outfit.
but not to nitpick.
He needs someone to zip him up.
Is that just hanging in his closet? Like, surely that's been confiscated. That's enemy. Sure, it's like stormtrooper outfit. It's not stopping anything, as we've learned.
But it's body armor. It's alien body armor.
Surely they've got
Like,
that locked up somewhere. It's in
mean,
it's in a
armory,
cabinet, and it's
that
like
mechanism that opens up that snake. That's really complex. Like, that's some hardcore tech right there.
He's an alien. He's been working there for 6 months. He's allowed to keep his alien technology weapon in his cupboard, and also his armor.
I just
And
it's
he's
like
clearly been hiding secrets from them.
you know
Yeah,
that you know
and it's
that
like
scene,
no, keep him there with the unidentified weapon that
you
we
know
don't
that
understand.
scene in
Sure.
Spider-Man where Peter Parker opens up his wardrobe and he's got a suit and the Spider-Man costume
Yep.
hanging there.
Yeah.
Teal'c every morning. I want to see an episode that's like a day in the life of Teal'c, and he gets out of his shell Demeron, little what is it? What's it called when he meditates?
Kelnor Reem.
Kelnor Reem. He gets out his Kelnor
beautiful.
Reem,
Boom.
blows out his candles, opens up his wardrobe, and there's his SG uniform and his serpent armor, and he's just like, which am I going to wear today? Like, I don't even think they've started wearing the blue off-duty uniform yet. They've only been wearing green off-duty.
Yeah.
So he's got 2 outfits.
I'm feeling a little bit enslaved today. I'm going the grey.
You know what? I'm going to go the green from the neck down, but I'm still going to wear the serpent hat.
I still want to wear the stockings underneath.
What do you think, Teal'c Jr.?
They have Halloween on the base every year.
I'm
Teal'c
having
just
a big
wears
week.
a serpent outfit. It's like, guess who? Is it Teal'c? Chunk. How
Well,
did you know?
Talking about Halloween, they must have a great costume department, because where the hell do they get the priest uniforms from when they start to go through? Like
Oh, yeah.
the rest of SG-1's dressed as the priest.
Not only that, where do they get them
hello,
from?
Chulak, guys.
I was here to make them up.
Walter's really good at sewing.
Teal'c not only is a great warrior, he's a costume designer, because he's actually got to sit down with a like a pen and just paint. This is what they look
What
like.
you don't know is he made that chainmail himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's
I
what
never
I'm
thought
wondering.
of that. How did they get those?
Because I guess they brought all those people back with them, but they wouldn't have. The
But
priests
not
wouldn't
those
have
guys.
come,
The priests would have come because
No.
they were like
unless they
raised apophis.
stripped several priests on the way back to the gate.
They were slaves, though, when
Yeah.
they surely they have dressmakers in with them.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
But how do you get that like alien leather material
Yeah.
that their hoods were made out of and all that sort of stuff? That's interesting.
Yeah.
That never
I
clicked
just
on me.
thought of that.
I
when
just
they
in
were
my
coming
head
out,
when I
like,
saw it, I was like, oh yeah, that's a throwback to Children of the Gods. But I
Yeah.
never thought about how they got those outfits.
They must have somebody.
It's the only explanation.
Yeah.
It's only an explanation to a lot of problems.
when you back in
I feel that comes up a lot.
when you
Okay, I'm just going to be honest
We're
here.
going to say you farted or something.
No. I'm just going to say. I'll put in that sound effect to
Give you a clean edit point for all the stuff you're going to cut out.
just to point out to the audience, we have jump skipped a little bit because the last 5 minutes of what we actually said on the record that will never see the light of day will never see the light of
Maybe
day.
at the end of the season.
Oh, yeah. When
Maybe
we're
blooper reel.
already in jail and it can't get any worse, we'll let you hear that. But it's not going to be from a place where we want you to sympathise with us. We want you to hate us even more.
We'll send it to Lincoln so he knows what he's missing out on.
Wow.
good.
God, I kind of want to, plead guilt anyway after the last couple of minutes. I feel so bad.
I know how to get rid of that guilt.
You know, I
Don't. Hey, I'll hit the button again.
mean, meaning to talk to you about that.
No, this is honestly, you don't need to listen to a podcast where everyone's laughing and you're not in on the joke. This is not what we mean to do.
mean.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I come in here to explain what was going on, and we've ended up making it even worse. I'm so sorry. We didn't say anything bad then. I just said something wrong, so I'm starting again. Hey, guys, can I ask you a question that you don't know the answer to?
What is it, Mitch?
Do you know what else is really cool about this episode?
What?
Mother Braytac. Did I say it right that time?
No,
Absolutely.
I love how you still put in the mofo, so you've got to beat that anyway.
Yeah, because I feel he deserves it. His introduction into this
He's a
episode.
Samuel L. Jackson badass.
Yeah.
Well,
And what is he, 135 or something?
Something like
133.
Oh, let's give him the intro he
Yeah,
deserves.
Rhys, good recall.
You challenge me, Hashak?
No, I don't think we came to fight you.
A shame.
We're here on a mission. If you don't want to be a part of it, just say so.
You choose your friends well, Teal'c. Though, were I 100 years younger, it might not have been quite so easy.
You're over 100 years old? God, I'm sorry.
133.
You must work out.
I reckon Hashak must be like...
Now, if you remember
There
from
it
a
is
couple
again.
episodes again, the reason why you can't hear any letter in that swear word is because you know what swear word it
I know
is.
what it was.
Okay?
And it was
Yeah.
not
Don't you think,
it was
like,
not
it's-
catfish.
With such venom, you look at me, Hashak.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, whoa.
I feel like O'Neill almost missed his opportunity to go, don't you call me that. What does
Yeah.
that mean, Teal'c? You know, like,
yeah.
you can hear that, it's a really
Yeah.
offensive word, just the way he says it, yeah. But you're right, like, he's an old bloke. He's smaller than everybody else in that team, except for maybe Carter, I guess. And yet he's kicking everyone's ass. And
Hey.
Teal'c's afraid of
Teal'c
him.
just falls into line, doesn't
He's
he?
Yeah.
got that gold emblem, so you know he's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And he refers to him as Master Braytac. or-
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
he's a
I
master.
was
It's
trained
like
by
a,
Master Braytac. or
yeah,
whatever.
it's like I feel like it's a title more than anything. It's
Yeah.
it's a title of respect.
He trains the Jaffa, I gathered. Because when he's at the end of the episode, he's talking about his son saying, I've now got another Jaffa that I can train and teach the world of false gods to.
Yeah, that was a good point because up until this episode, Teal'c has he's been the face and really the only name that we've heard as being a traitor, as they're calling him,
Yeah.
and the non-believer, the one that has abandoned the Jaffa and even the Goa'uld, obviously. But he's so openly and just not carrying that much weight when he announces Braytac and going, "Oh, I know a guy that that he also believes them to be false gods," and I'm like. Again, is that not something you should have mentioned before? It's like, hey, I'm not the only one. There's like an underground
There's at least
resistance sort of
Yeah.
thing,
One
you know?
Yeah.
other guy.
Yeah, that was great.
And where there's
Like,
one, there's got to be more.
than one. Wow, Daniel, the voice of reason in all things science, and that's your reasoning to go back to the most hostile planet you've ever been to. But Braytac, like, again, we don't want to go too much into the future, but as you see, Rhys, he's not dead at the end of this episode, and you can't blame them for wanting to bring him back because he is a badass. He's very cool, Braytac.
A little funny thing I noticed at the start when they first went through the Stargate, went past the priests and whatever, and Jackson had his glasses off, and he's sort of trailing behind in the line. And
I
then
saw this too.
runs
I was
into the
hoping
rock.
someone else would notice it.
Yeah, I did notice that. I watched it with Badana and I go, oh, bloody Daniel. She goes, what? You ran into the rock?
No. He sneezes, and then so
Oh,
he,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
he
yeah.
sneezes, and then he has to run up
Yeah,
behind
he
him.
did
Oh, I
sneeze.
thought he ran. Yeah, right.
He sneezed and he ran into the rock because
Yeah, right.
it reminded me a little bit of...
I just thought because he didn't have his glasses on, he
Ah.
ran into the rock.
I thought he took his glasses because he sneezed, which harkens back to the gate travel plays with his allergies from the film.
Yeah.
So he's gate travelled, sneezed, and then has to sort of play catch up. It's a very wide shot though
Yeah,
to play
it was.
that.
Yeah.
I guess maybe in the close up it might have played too goofy, but
So I didn't get when they first came through the gate and the priest went up and tried to grab him and he put him in his place. Like what is the priest's place? Like he's obviously
They look after the symbiotes, I think.
yeah, that's kind of what I gathered.
Yeah.
Because you see them later on walking with a little fish tank full of primters.
yeah.
Which a little goof there is more upside down serpent logos.
I know, yeah. I
That
picked
look
that
like
up too.
they look like the Omega
I'm
symbol.
going,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Yeah.
And
lot.
on the priest as well, like, I mean, at this stage anyway, are we to believe that they're non-combatant Jaffa, or are they humans?
Yeah, good
I
call.
would say Jafar
Mm.
because
They would-
they do wear the symbol.
Yeah. They are all Jafar, but maybe they who knows?
Yeah, I feel like in the film they talk about there's
'Cause
like
the son's
there's-
Jafar, but he
there's
doesn't
a
become a real man or whatever.
Yeah.
but he's obviously always had that pouch. Like you've got to have the pouch to become a Jafar. So, but I feel like in the film they kind
Not
of
necessarily.
they kind of separate it in terms. Well, how is he going to get the Primtar in there?
Well, Hathor.
Yeah, we haven't got. Well, if you're going to quote Hathor, then we got a whole other issue of problems. But no, like in the film, they talk about obviously there's Ra and there's the gods, and then he has his little human slaves who look after him, and then he has his Jafar who are his warriors, and then there are just the slaves that are mining and all that sort of thing. But then obviously throughout the series, anyone who has anything to do with the Goa'uld is usually has a symbol on their head is Jafar. There's so many Jafar.
What is that weird? Because I thought they were all Apophis. What is that
Yeah.
weird? That's the first time I noticed is like an upside down triangle with the staff weapons through it or something.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's got to have something to do with. I guess maybe they were trying to do something different in terms of making it. Maybe the people wearing the snake symbol are warriors, and this because he was a priest meant something different. But I don't think you ever see that
I think they-
symbol again.
Yeah, they tried something, it didn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just even on the symbol, it was cool when we got to the village. I think when Ryak was sick, and the shot or the scene started with a shot of the like a giant sort of pole of the snake symbol, and it was really like clearly snakes rather than just sort of being in a sort of curved line like the symbols in the head. I thought that was really cool, like that they'd sort of really defined what it's supposed to look like, the sign of Apophis.
Yeah.
And I can't remember seeing it so defined again in the future. I mean,
No,
I'm
I
sure.
think you even see eyes and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
in it.
right. Yeah,
it's- yeah.
Really detailed. It's cool.
The thing is, too, once they came through the gate, like where Rhys was taking off from, then they took off their robes. Why?
Yeah.
I don't get that.
You're not there yet, guys. You know.
It's like, yeah,
Yeah, I,
Yeah,
didn't
I
get
feel
it.
like they could
you're
have
not
just
really incognito.
they could have walked into the village, but
Yeah.
instead they chose to go the subversive route and go back to their camo and sneak in.
Yeah.
But it's like, well,
Can
yeah,
you
it was,
sneak
it was
in just like that?
a weird choice. It's like, well, Teal'c's face is covered, so it's fine. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah, very strange.
And then, of course, he runs to his burnt down house and is shattered. And the first time we see real emotion here from Chris Judge's performance. And then, of course, the reveal of what is always known as he sees the symbol on the side of the house. This is the home of Shulvar.
Yeah, and this is the first time we officially get it translated into traitor,
Yeah.
which we kind of preempted in the Nox.
Yeah. Yeah. That's he did.
Even so, I actually was watching because as I said when we recorded the Nox, I hadn't finished watching that episode, so I only like a couple of weeks ago had watched it again or finished watching it, and just hearing that word, I love hearing Apophis say that word just in that voice. Like, Jaffa. It's a bit like what did
Hashak.
yeah, Hashak. Yeah, you
It's
can
like
really hear
he
it.
really
you can
pronounces the apostrophe somehow. He manages to pronounce it. It's like Shulva.
Yeah.
Like he just
Like, we
nails
can't
it.
10 years, 20 years after watching the show, but this actor, given the script for 20 minutes, he's able to like, clearly get the dialect
the
properly.
flanging of his voice helps as well.
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
true.
When I edited up that stuff from a couple of weeks ago with when I fast forwarded all the Broca Divide stuff, I actually hit the wrong button and it flanged everyone's voices instead of fast forwarding it. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Is that what we're calling it? Flanged?
Yeah, that's what they call it.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's like season 5 in one of the audio commentaries. They talk about the
Right.
flanging of the voice, which I thought was a weird term as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
Americans.
Well,
Canadians.
Canadians.
Same thing. Not, of course not. For anyone listening,
We love you.
in the northern continent of
Thank
America.
you for giving this show to talk about.
So I couldn't get past the whole fact that the whole trip was pointless.
Well, it wasn't
Essentially.
going to be, but
Well, it
because Teal'c completely fucked up. Didn't
He-
realise that Ryak was actually sick
Yeah.
and he actually needed
Yeah,
the
it was-
Primtar.
It was weird. It's like he talked
Implantation.
about, Master Braytak and all that sort of stuff. So maybe he just never assumed that Master Braytak would look after Ryak, like he said he would.
Yeah.
But you'd assume that Braytak's been looking after them all this time anyway.
Mm.
I love it how he's waited
So-
6 months and he's like, yeah, it's probably today, and then he sprints into the camp seconds before he's doing it. Oh, wow, great timing. Just great timing.
Actually, just watching that scene, saying before, I love the design of the snake emblem. The two-bladed knife that the Goa'uld or at least the
Yeah.
Jaffa
It's
carry.
really
I really
cool,
like. It's
yeah.
such a simple little design, and it's like, why not? If you can have two blades on there instead of one, but I just something so small like that
It looks
is
so brutal.
is really cool, and
Oh,
they
I
do keep
wonder-
that design around
Is
too.
that the Primtar blade? Or?
I wonder if that's how they cut the pouch.
Yeah,
Maybe
probably.
that we were just talking about before. Maybe Ryak has the capacity to hold a Goa'uld in his stomach, but maybe that blade is to actually cut the cross
Yeah,
to
Yeah,
gain
maybe.
access to the pouch.
True,
Doesn't
true.
seem very sanitary,
wow, yeah. The Goa'uld symbiote will heal it.
I guess.
If it
What about
takes-
Teal'c's wife though?
Oh man,
Like-
smoking.
Yeah, wearing a black leather miniskirt. Like
Yeah.
what? She was like the Jaffa version of like a Valley Girl, like trophy wife. Like
Apologies to every Valley Girl and Trophy wife.
The Real Housewives of Chulak.
yeah, the Real Housewives of Chulak. Thank you for stealing my punchline, Dev.
Sorry, man. You-
My husband Teal'c, he betrayed our god Apophis and left me and my son to ourselves. Can we make that? That'd be great. Good spin-off.
That'd be great.
so good.
You can cross over with Austin Powers. No one thinks about the families of the henchmen.
But they do at a later date. No spoilers for Rhys, but they do actually end up recasting that lady to play Drea.
Yeah,
And
and she ain't as hot.
no, but I think she
memory.
plays the role better. I think there's less of that whiny Valley Girl
Not worth it.
and more of a Jaffa.
Need
More
a
of,
skirt.
she ends up being more of like more of a proud Jaffa, rather than this weird high pitched squealy Valley Girl.
Yeah, she was a little bit too Earth-like, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Teal'c and Teal'c's so prim and proper in the way he speaks.
Regal.
And so is Braytak.
Yeah, and
then
she's
she's
just
like,
this.
oh my God, Teal'c, you totally ditched us.
Yeah. Oh my God, my leather miniskirt's riding up. Oh my God.
I was watching. I'm like, have you listened to your co-stars? that
Yeah,
are saying,
like,
come
yeah.
on, come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
How did you get the
Sort of,
job, Cooper?
Yeah.
Come on, man. We get it. She's good looking, but think about the universe.
A little bit of trivia though, that the director of this episode, Mario Azzopardi, actually directed Children of the Gods as well. So far, he's the only director to direct any scenes on Chulak.
Good. Yeah, well, there was a lot of reshots, I guess you would say, where they're walking up the hill towards the
Yeah,
gate.
very sameness. Like you got the idea that we're
Yeah.
definitely back on, because I guess this
Yeah.
is the first time we're revisiting a planet that we've already been to.
Yeah, obviously they didn't get a main part of the city, but they went to the outskirts. But then when they came back, they went up that hill and back down, and then there was kind of the swirl of stones, which looked like the Warcraft 2 gate portal at the end.
I love it. Like just watching. I think there's the village where they took Ryak to start healing him after Teal'c had found them, and just thinking like outside of the on set scenes that they have in Stargate, the on location sets are like just so it's like they've went for a journey into the Canadian forest. They've found a bare patch 20 meters wide, and it's like put 7 tents there, and that's our village. Like everything is so tiny. Every village they've ever visited on a location is just this tiny little thing. The Emancipation episode, and then this one, and other things along the way. But anyway,
The film is, the giant pyramids of Giza on another planet,
Yeah.
these sweeping landscapes of the Sahara, and now we're just like a pit in the middle of Vancouver
Just
somewhere.
a gully of
Just a-
yeah,
rock.
don't do a wide shot because
Yeah.
we're in the middle of Vancouver.
You'll see
the
British.
forest.
You'll see British Columbia just down that hill.
Yeah,
But I have to say, this episode was not as bad as I remember. I've always skipped this stuff.
really.
All this sort of anything with Dreyarch and Ryak, I normally skip.
Yeah, I think later on when
Next.
Ryak becomes an annoying teenager, I got really irritated with him because he seems to be complaining about the stuff that he did the last time you
In
saw
the
him.
next episode that he's in, he is. I want to take that knife and just.
Oh, yeah. I know. I know the one you're talking
Can't
about.
wait.
But yeah, maybe I was just.
Why is he going back home?
Maybe I was just sort of confusing those two episodes because I didn't mind this one at all actually.
So why didn't they go back through the gate with them?
Yeah.
Because equilibrium.
Because they didn't get a contract for the next episode.
Yeah. They were over budget.
We don't really feel.
Yeah,
Well,
that's what I didn't get. Like that's why I thought it was pointless
to
because the
underm-
whole
yeah,
point
yeah.
they went there was to stop Ryak from getting the embryo Primtar, and then he got one anyway because he needed one. Teal'c got another one.
Yeah,
They stayed there,
Ryak
still
got
outcast.
Teal'c traded his to Ryak, and then
Yeah.
Teal'c got a fresh one.
Yeah. An immature one. And then they
Hey.
stayed there, still outcast. They went back, so everything's still the same, except he just.
Why
fucked
didn't
up
they keep the
priest.
dead one?
I
That's what I was
just-
thinking. Why didn't they keep the one that they chopped in half?
Well, they had Kowalski's one, and they said that they needed a live one.
Ah,
yeah.
good call.
But I'm just thinking about maybe the whole purpose of this episode in terms of the Primtar, because obviously we know and we've been told that eventually the Primtar come of age and they need to seek a host, and that's obviously why they're trying to get it out of Teal'c before it matures, and then. So we assume, when we meet Teal'c in Children of the Gods, he's had that Primtar for however long.
Yeah.
So it's further along its maturity.
Yep.
So by giving him this one where Braytek even says, "Oh, it's a bit too young to be
Yeah.
implanted,"
Yeah.
they've
Give
bought a bit
themselves
more
a bit more
time
time.
before they need to assess what they're going to do with Teal'c. They've just bought themselves theoretically another 5 years.
Yeah.
Of Teal'c having a immature symbiote, in it. And maybe it weakens him a little bit in future episodes. I can't really remember.
Don't think so.
But maybe it's just a matter of buying them time until they figure out what they're going to do in terms of, are they going to get him another symbiote? Are they going to try and write in a way for him not to need his symbiote anymore?
Yeah.
Things like that. And I guess at the same time, plant the seeds of, there are other Jaffa out there who don't believe in the false guards, and obviously give Teal'c some great backstory in terms of what he's actually fighting for, that he has a family. And
That's what I didn't get. They only grabbed one. There was like half a dozen in that jar.
and Sam just
Carter
grabs one.
Grabs one.
She's
It's
like, "Oh, we don't want to be uncomfortable
Yeah.
in that canister."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they want to double
Canister.
up
It was a
there.
thermos.
Yeah.
yeah, that's it.
Oh, can I say though, that actual scene is probably my favourite scene of the whole episode when Daniel goes dark. I don't know whether it's the music or whether it's just the space they leave
Daniel?
between everything.
His face, he never breaks eye contact.
What are you
in the
thinking?
tank.
Yeah, he's just staring.
Just that
at
every single one of these infant Goa'ulds will one day take a human life. And all I have to do is...
If we kill them when they're as vulnerable as they are right now, we'd be no better than the Goa'uld. Let's go.
He starts to walk away,
He does turn at that point.
changes his mind last minute, and I feel like he just empties that clip. Like, and then and the fact that he just stands there and watches them drive, and there's that sound where you almost feel sorry, even you feel sorry for the symbiotes, almost,
Yeah.
like because they're just suffering and it's like fish drowning.
Yeah.
I love
That's
it.
what I didn't get when
But then
Carter was
that-
sympathetic with them.
Yeah, we're no better than they are, dude. You're like
Mm.
battling a war that you would like. You have to try to do.
But it is,
Yeah.
it is
Yeah,
the
you need
science.
guerrilla
It's
tactics.
the science fiction equivalent of killing children, though. Like they're non-combatants.
But, I mean, yeah, I forget what I was going to say totally.
I think that given, and I've mentioned this before, is this show does have the backing of the U.S. Air Force. They actually have advisors on site, and they actually contribute to the show. So that was one of those things where also is they do limit them sometimes. That the Air Force will say, "Oh, well, a major or a captain in the Air Force will never do that." Blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah. So maybe that was just
Sure,
that was
sure
the-
it wouldn't
maybe
be
that was a
US
little
Air
note
Force.
there because it is the sci-fi version of killing children, killing non-combatants. So maybe they said, "Oh,
Yeah.
look, Carter being the military has to say no." And obviously, it does have that nice dichotomy of because Daniel is always the one that's the the voice of reason and stuff, but he's just like he's gone dark and he's just like nah, not having it.
Yeah.
And essentially kills children.
That's, I mean,
But he
it's-
saves lives as well.
Well, that's
Yeah. Well, that's at the end of the day, they're little shrimp in a bowl that we don't really feel for. But there's that moment of he's almost enjoying watching these symbiotes die.
Yeah.
Which I find
But
really interesting.
at what point can you kill them? That's the thing. Like,
Yeah, you
do you
wait,
wait
till they.
take over a body, and then now we can kill them? But how do we kill them? Like, you got to kill them when they're infants, when they're not in a
Oh, totally.
person.
Totally. I don't begrudge Daniel doing it at all, but I understand why Carter sort of says, we wouldn't be any better than them.
And that annoyed me the first time. That's when Daniel turned around and was like, yeah.
Do you think that's a personal thing from Carter, or do you think that is a military
I think that's
thing?
military. I think that's...
Because if that's the case, then why didn't Jackson get reprimanded for it?
I don't.
You know what I mean? If
I
that's
just
a-
think
Well,
that
I
was
mean-
kind of a contrast in however you would look at it, and that's what science fiction does. It gives you kind of both sides of the argument.
it's bringing up a social issue that we can then talk about.
Yeah.
So it's it's that. I mean, obviously we can't put ourselves in that situation, but look at real life, modern day, military people, fighting anywhere around the world. If they found a bunch of babies, in a room that was by some kind of rebel faction or
Owned by
ISIS or any of those,
soldiers and
one of those.
stuff,
Well, we know that those kids, theoretically, in this hypothetical, are those children can be raised to be, rebels and extremists and all that sort of stuff. Well, would you kill them? So I think, to me, that's the parallel I see.
No.
Even though
Yeah,
they're
but you could remove them from the situation and teach them how to be better. You remove
you could do
these
that with a Goa'uld.
worms and do
and do
Well,
science.
Carter takes
science
one. They
tests
plan to
on-
take one home. Like, how do you? Well, at this stage, like,
Well, how do you teach it? But
you could theoretically, if you raised a Goa'uld on its own, theoretically, the Goa'uld that's inside Teal'c could be learning from Teal'c, and when he grows up, it decides it doesn't want to be an evil Goa'uld, it wants to be a good Goa'uld.
Yeah.
So there's no right answer. That's the whole point. Is that's what I find really cool about it. Is given that Daniel is the quote unquote ethical one of the team.
That's why it was such a big, heavy moment.
Yeah.
And like the moment of the episode, considering this is a story about Teal'c,
Yeah.
and I think 30 seconds that audio went for, it made it the moment belonged to Jackson.
I got goosebumps when I watched it.
Yeah,
I'd
forgotten all about it until I
me too.
watched this episode again.
Forgotten about it.
And yeah, you're right. Like, but again, it goes back to what I was saying. Like the last 2 weeks, how like he was all about fighting the Goa'uld and finding Shara, and then last week it was all about in the moment, a selfish sort of thought about learning and whatever else I was doing, I don't care. And then back to tonight, back to being, I just want to kill these things because one like it has taken my wife away from me.
And you can get away with that because he's a civilian on the team. Whereas Jack and Carter they're military, so they're like, well, that's not the mission. Our mission, if our mission was to go and plant C4 on this little fish tank of squid and shrimp, she'd do it because that's her orders.
Yeah,
but it's not the
absolutely.
mission. The mission is to get a sample of this alien, get it back to SG-1. Get it back to Stargate Command.
I suppose, I mean, there's two different sides to it. Eh? Like it kills hosts. I mean, effectively, but it keeps guys like Teal'c alive.
Yeah.
So you sort of need them, but
that's
you want
that
to kill them,
double-edged
but you need
sword
them,
of it's the Holy Grail, but it's also
Should
Hitler.
be the other way around.
Yeah.
And it's not something I guess they've spoken about yet. They want to learn stuff from the Goa'uld, the symbiotes, and how they can maybe use parts of their physiology, biology, whatever.
Well, if they can learn their anatomy, they can learn how to fight them.
Yeah, but also
Biological weapon.
a simple way is hey, you know what? The vice president's got cancer. Like, okay, I guess he's not.
That's
like,
right.
Not,
He's just
not,
the vice
he's not a
president.
Goa'uld, I guess. I'm thinking more from a
Yeah,
Jaffa point of view is that this thing could heal this person. Like,
or even if they learn how a symbiote becomes a Jaffa's immune system, if they can synthetically replicate that, they can cure disease. So yeah, it's that really cool double-edged sword of
your greatest enemy could be your greatest help
Asset.
and victory. Yeah, asset. Yeah, absolutely. And on the where they stole the things from the tank, when they finally met up with Braytak and Teal'c and Dreyarch again, and they're like, look, Teal'c's in a lot of trouble. He's given his symbiote to Ryak, and he hasn't got long left. And they said, oh, we've got one. Yeah, just crack open the thermos. And they're like, where'd you get that? Oh, we knocked it off from the building, from the church. They're like, you stole that from the temple? It's sacrilege. And I'm like, Braytek.
didn't tell them what they did to the fish tank once they left.
Well, no, but by his own admission, Braytek is a non-believer in false
god,
gods,
yeah.
and he's like, you can't do that. That's their building. Like, that's where we worship them.
That's how
But it's also
brainwashed they are.
that's his free Medicare, like that.
They still pay me. They don't know I'm leading the rebellion. So.
That's his retirement plan. That they just.
I do like this
I
is
don't
kind
even
of
have
the
to pay the gap.
introduction to O'Neill and Braytac using human terms. Like Teal'c goes, "If we're discovered, you'll be brought to Apophis along with us." And he goes, "We'll cross that bridge when we come to it." No,
Yeah.
we shall not take the bridge. It's too dangerous.
Yeah.
It's just a term that we use.
And it was one of those
Yeah.
times where he starts to explain it, and he's like, "No, what I mean, don't even worry about it." Let's
And
just- now there's two of you.
No,
I have
actually,
to explain it to.
Did
I was using a cliche.
they mention General Hammond to Braytac in this episode? Is it?
Yes.
Which I think is a great callback because the next time we meet Braytac, I think he does actually meet Hammond.
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh, you are Hammond of Texas."
Yeah.
Like he's remembered from back then. And it's just
Yeah.
little things like that, which are really nice sort of world building.
Yeah.
And then he ends up saying it at the end, doesn't he? Braytac. I will cross that bridge when I get to it.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they go, "What are you going to do with?" Yeah, because they've seen Braytac basically betray Apophis. So then they go, "What are you going to do?" And he's like, "Yeah, well, you guys go." And because he knows that they're kind of goody two shoes, and then he gets his fucking Primtar quad blade out and just slices them up. Totally what he's doing.
So maybe
Once they leave,
Yeah. Please go. Hurry up. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Boom.
what are you going to do? I'll cross that bridge and we can't do it.
Teal'c
hacks
is
him to
just
bits.
like really socially, doesn't get it because it's like he's been living on Earth for 6 months. He still doesn't get human expressions and stuff like that. Braytac's been hanging around for like 20 minutes and he's
Yeah.
got, he's
He's
got
nailed
stuff
it.
down.
Well, he's
It's just like-
133 years old. You think he'd pick up something?
Yeah, Matty's went back there again. We had to cut. I'm so sorry.
Here we are again. It's that time.
Oh, what time is it, Rhys?
I forget. What is it?
I told you last week you should have recorded it.
Turns out Rhys has not been paying attention.
How ironic that you forgot.
I literally was not paying attention.
That works so well. Okay.
So, question time. So what did we get last time? It was
last
what,
week.
2
It was
out of
2 out of
6.
6. This week we're only going to do 5 because we did run out of time. So 5 questions. If you don't know it, pass. If we have time, we'll come back to it. So 30 seconds on the clock.
And I'm playing for Adam from Cleveland.
Good on you, Adam. Okay. Here we go.
Time starts at the end of your first question.
Following on from the film, what planet had Dr. Jackson been living on?
That would be...
Come on.
Pass.
In Series 1, what was Samantha Carter's military rank?
Captain. No, yeah, Captain.
In Series 1, who runs Stargate Command?
Hammond.
Who trained Teal'c?
Oh, that was bloody Braytac.
In the episode Torment of Tantalus, what year did Ernest disappear?
45.
And back
Chulak.
to the other one. Abydos.
Abydos is the one.
Almost, buddy.
Hey? Twice as good as
I tell
last
you
week.
what, I wouldn't have got 1945. I would not have got that.
Yeah,
I would have only because he yelled it last
did,
week
yeah,
for
he
some
did.
strange reason.
you did.
I made a point
All right.
to remember that last week.
Nah, that's... I wouldn't
4 out of
have got
5, mate. You have
Whoa!
been.
You know? Cheers.
You have
cheers.
been.
Turns out Rhys has been paying attention.
But if you want to stump him, send in some questions.
Yeah, by all means, get into
Obviously,
Gates.
nothing, season 7 related. That's not going to help.
No, please.
Yeah.
Cap
Give
it
it a
off as of next week's episode, which is called
Fire and Water.
Fire and Water. So you get into gate@gmail.com is the best place to send in some questions to see if Rhys has been paying attention. But you're a bit excited about next week's episode, Matty. You've been talking about, you too, Brendan, about Fire and Water is all I've been hearing for the last, I think, 3 or 4 records.
Well, I'm not excited.
Oh, okay, sure.
I was
But I
was
like
interested
Fire and Water.
that Brendan was quite excited, but I just think it's a weird title. It should obviously be called this.
What fate, Amaroka?
Yeah, totally should.
That's...
Okay. Someone who doesn't...
We'll find out next
I'm
week.
sure I'll find it.
What
next
Mitch doesn't tell anyone is that he actually doesn't remember this episode whatsoever because he hasn't watched it yet. So I thought that might refresh his memory a little
That's
bit.
what I'm saying. I wouldn't have seen this episode in, I reckon, 10 years.
Did
and that did nothing.
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 Turns out Mitch has
Yeah.
not been paying
Maybe
attention.
we'll quiz Mitch next week.
Yeah.
Come on, mate. Throwback to 2004. I reckon it was then. He's not here, Link. I'm not putting him in shit. I went to schoolies with Lincoln. because clearly my mum didn't trust him and said, you have to go down and look after
So
him.
you were a Thule.
No, I was
You're a Thule.
But I was not.
Don't deny it.
Okay,
You were
sure.
a chaperone Thule.
Okay, sure.
I don't know what you described me as. I was an in-house tool. I did nothing. I took down a DVD player and 2 seasons of Stargate SG-1. And that's what I did for the whole week.
Yeah, you
Wow. So there's
Pretty
all
much
these.
what you did at schoolies.
I could say I didn't do that, but you were there. So
You
you
can say you're the mysterious older man, just free reign at schoolies. Nah, a couple of seasons of Stargate, thanks.
Yeah, that was so. He Lincoln in his prime. He's 17, 18. You know what I'm talking about, Rhys. You were there too. And Lincoln
Yeah, you
brings in
could've-
people to party, and I'm there going, sorry guys, just got MacGyver on here.
Mate,
If you don't mind.
Are you watching MacGyver? No,
Okay.
it's not MacGyver.
So,
Sit down and let me tell you about it.
Oh, Mitch has got his dick out. He's watching porn at Stargate. What the
see,
Why are there little snakes on screen too? What are you watching?
you completely missed it.
Mitch, your symbiote's coming out.
You completely missed an opportunity there, Mitch. I've got a really good mate, James, and he's a very attractive man. He's a personal trainer, so he's buff, a good looking, all that sort of stuff.
Keep talking about him.
I always,
I'm joking.
I'm joking, don't.
I always go out with him because it's what I call the shark and the suckerfish. It's that the shark is the predator that goes out there and makes the kill. The suckerfish lives off the leftovers.
Yeah.
I'm the suckerfish,
drinks.
my friends. And Mitch, you could have been that too on Schoolies. You could have been the suckerfish to Lincoln Shark, and you watched Stargate instead.
Oh, I'll be honest. This
Hey,
week
I don't blame him.
I've
Priorities.
been
Sometimes you
quite
press
unlucky.
pause.
You could have lived the dream and had a session while watching Stargate. That was your opportunity.
I had a girlfriend that was back in Brisbane at the time. No, that couldn't have
Yeah,
happened.
but you were at schoolies.
I was a nice boy. This week I've been batching, right? My wife is in Victoria, we're in Queensland here, and everyone's like, oh, geez. I think you even, Matty, goes, wow, how much have you been enjoying watching porn on the lounge room TV instead?
On your big
And
curved,
it's like,
high
no,
def, flat
you know what?
screen.
Instead, I've been watching Stargate on my laptop while I do the dishes. That's legitimately been my week because that's what I
Cute.
choose to do in the times where I could be doing far better.
Why don't you
things.
leave it piled up until
Like a real man.
Oh, we are off on some really weird tangent right now. That is Bloodlines. Thank you for tuning in to Get Into Gate for episode 11. You can find us on the socials and keep up to date with what we're going to be doing, if we're going to be raising any questions, and the episodes when they go up online. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, simply at Get Into Gate. And depending on where you're listening, we're available on both SoundCloud and iTunes. And as we said earlier, if you want to drop us a line, send in some questions. I've got to give it all out, mates. People, it might be their first episode.
We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Matty.
Bye.
God,
He's still connected.
thank God that wood's gone. Oh, you still hear me? Sorry, his headphones are still on. He's
You're
10
back.
metres out the room. Get into gate.at@gmail.com and getintogeek.com is the homepage for all things Get Into Gate and Get Into Geek, all our movie reviews and stuff like that. As Matty said, go back and listen last week and get all the details. We are Get Into Gate. We'll be back next week for Fire and Water. Am I getting that right?
Got it, mate. Yeah.
Yep, good.
It's not Bright Candle.
That was weeks ago.
GetIntoGeek.com.